Who is Robert Prevost, the new Pope? First American Pope, Cardinal Robert Prevost has been chosen as the inaugural U.S.-born Pope and will take the name Pope Leo XIV. Leo delivered his initial comments as Pope from the St. Peter's Basilica balcony before tens of thousands of spectators, urging peace and honoring the late Pope Francis. Robert Prevost age. How old is Robert Prevost? He is 69 years old. Robert Prevost nationality. American-born Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost was appointed as the next Pope. He shall be recognized as Pope Leo XIV. Leo is the first Pope to have been born in the United States. He is additionally a citizen of Peru, where he has lived most of his life. Who is Cardinal Prevost? First American Pope, Cardinal Robert Prevost has been chosen as the inaugural U.S.-born Pope and will take the name Pope Leo XIV. Leo delivered his initial comments as Pope from the St. Peter's Basilica balcony before tens of thousands of spectators, urging peace and honoring the late Pope Francis. Robert Prevost education. His academic credentials include a Master of Divinity from Catholic Theological Union in Chicago, a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from Villanova University in 1977, and a doctorate and licentiate in canon law from the Pontifical College of St. Thomas Aquinas in Rome. Robert Prevost biography. Before serving 2 consecutive terms as head of the Augustinians, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, a Chicago-born prelate with views similar to Pope Francis, spent many years as a missionary in Peru. He was previously a prefect of the powerful dicastery for bishops. Prevost was born in Chicago, Illinois, on September 14, 1955. He became a novitiate of the Order of St. Augustine OSA in 1977 and took his solemn vows in 1981. The role of the local prior in the Order of St. Augustine was the topic of his doctoral thesis. He has had notable roles and accomplishments throughout his career in the Church. Prior to becoming Chancellor of the Territorial Prelature of Chilicanas in 1985, Prevost joined the Augustinian mission in Peru after being ordained as a priest in 1982. After serving as the Augustinian province of Chicago's pastor for vocations and director of missions in the United States from 1987 to 1988, he returned to Peru and spent the following 10 years leading the Augustinian Seminary in Trujillo and instructing canon law at the Diocesan Seminary, where he was also the prefect of studies. He held various positions there, such as judicial vicar, director of formation, seminary instructor, parish pastor, and diocesan official. After his return to Chicago in 1999, he was chosen to serve as the Archdiocese's Mother of Good Counsel provincial prior. After being elected Prior General of the Augustinian Order 2.5 years later, he held the position for 2 terms until 2013. After being named the Apostolic Administrator of the Diocese of Chiclayo by Pope Francis in 2014, he went back to Peru. In 2015, he was made Bishop of Chiclayo. In addition, from 2018 to 2023, he was a member of the Peruvian Bishops' Conference's Permanent Council and its vice president. During the period when successive political crises resulted in the overthrow of successive presidents, Peru's bishops were said to have been crucial in maintaining institutional stability. Prevost was the Apostolic Administrator of Callao, Peru, in 2020 and 2021. In January 2023, Pope Francis appointed the prefect of the dicastery for bishops to a powerful position that was in charge of choosing bishops. He held this position until his death on April 21, 2025. Pope Francis promoted Prevost to the rank of cardinal on September 30, 2023. Then, Archbishop Prevost reportedly stood out for his ability to listen and his grasp of issues during his first months as prefect, but he remained characteristically quiet in the media. Alatia stated that a French bishop who met with him 2 months after he assumed office commended his ability to synthesize and ask judicious questions, emphasizing that this initial encounter had made a good impression. Although Cardinal Prevost rarely discusses important issues, some of his opinions are well known. Francis is said to share his views on the environment, helping the underprivileged and migrants and meeting people where they are. The bishop is not supposed to be a little prince sitting in his kingdom, he declared last year. He backed Pope Francis' pastoral practice change that permits Catholics who are divorced or civilly remarried to partake in Holy Communion. Though he showed some support for fiducia supplicans, Prevost seems to be less inclined than Francis to win over the LGBTQ lobby. Prevost has been defended in both cases, but he has been involved in some controversy over clergy sexual abuse. The Cardinal's defenders contend that the media have unfairly and inaccurately covered the cases and emphasize his innocence. A priest convicted of sexually abusing children was permitted to remain at an Augustinian priory close to an elementary school and carry on his priestly duties until he was removed and laicized in 2012. This case is the first one he handled while serving as provincial of the Augustinian province of Chicago, 1999 to 2001. But according to reports, Prevost never gave his approval for that specific circumstance, which happened prior to the Dallas Charter, and the priest was not an Augustinian. Concerns concerning Prevost's awareness of and response to abuse claims in his former diocese of Chiclayo have surfaced more recently. The accusations that surfaced in April 2022, while Prevost was bishop, involved two priests allegedly molesting 3 young girls. Local Catholics have been frustrated by the case because of its sluggish progress and ambiguous outcome. The diocese has adamantly denied that Prevost did not follow the correct procedures and that he did not adequately investigate the accusations and cover up for the accused priest. According to them, Prevost personally received the victims, cared for them, and allegedly launched the first canonical investigation. Additionally, he urged the victims to sue the civil authorities. Prevost forwarded the findings of the investigation to the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, DDF, for evaluation in July 2022. His supporters emphasize that he has records from the DDF and the Peruvian Papal Nunciature that show he not only paid attention to the alleged victims but also followed all the steps outlined in church law in these cases. But in May 2025, it was alleged that the diocese had paid the 3 girls $150,000 to keep them quiet. The girls, who have been described as longtime public critics of Prevost, allegedly accused Prevost of concealing the priest's sexual abuse of them. What does Pope Robert Prevost stand for? Prevost belongs to the Augustinian religious order, thus becoming the first Augustinian pope of the Roman Catholic Church, as reported by the New York Times. A fundamental principle of the Order of St. Augustine is to coexist in unity, sharing a singular mind and heart as we journey towards God. Why was Robert Prevost elected pope? Considered a highly capable and accomplished leader, Prevost most recently led the powerful Vatican office for new bishop appointments, the Dicastery for Bishops, assessing candidates and making recommendations to the late pope. How many languages does Prevost speak? The Chicago native pontiff, born in America, is fluent in Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and French. He reads both Latin and German as well. How long does it take to elect a pope? Conclaves now take less time than they used to, according to data. A pope was first chosen by conclave approximately 800 years ago, with preliminary elections taking place over several months or even years. Conclaves now usually last 2 to 3 days, and it has been almost 200 years since they lasted longer than a week. What are Robert Prevost's beliefs? Although Prevost is generally regarded as a centrist, he is seen as progressive on certain important social issues. He has consistently supported marginalized communities, much like Francis, who advocated for migrants and the impoverished. A core value for the Order of St. Augustine is to live together in harmony, being of one mind and one heart on the way to God.